Don't forget to visit our website www.nileinternational.net.
We're back, and I'm joined now with Sharif El-Touni. Hello, Sharif. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Are you cold just as I am? I'm freezing.
You look freezing.
I know, I'm shivering, literally.
It's absolutely cold. It's definitely the unusual weather for Egypt. Usually we have the sunny days, but now we have this wave.
I think it's a wave for a few days.
Exactly.
We've never had before. I think we're reaching up to a 4 degrees at night, something that Egypt is not used to at all.
I think we have to get used to it because this is winter. This is
real
real winter.
Really? Oh.
Is there anything that's good about feeling cold?
Well, for me, I'm
other than blankets and cuddling up?
I'm not a cold person. I prefer the heat, and I have no problems with the heat at all. But I do have issues with the cold.
Yeah,
I get very cold very fast, and I feel it so much.
She's shivering. She's freezing. Now, let's take this topic. It's an important topic that happened also throughout this week. Definitely the death of the former South African President Nelson Mandela, definitely known as the man of the peace, known also or dubbed as Madiba, called as Madiba. The mourners in South Africa are standing in long queues right now, waiting to see his body and to see the coffin for the second day. Definitely thousands of people filed past Mr. Mandela's body, which was lying in the State of the Union's building in Pretoria. On Wednesday, his widow Gracia Machel and President Jacob Zuma were among those to pay the respects. Mr. Mandela, known also by his clan name as Madiba, died last Thursday at the age of 95 and will be buried on Sunday. I think we have a report.
We have a report that is going to be narrated by Nermeen Nazim, and it's been edited by Walid Zainuddin and directed by Mohammed Al-Khatib. Let's see the report.
World leaders and thousands of South Africans on Wednesday filed past the flag-draped casket containing the body of Nelson Mandela, having a final look at the anti-apartheid icon in the amphitheater where he was sworn in 19 years earlier as the country's first black president. Some made the sign of the cross, others simply gazed at Mandela's face through a glass bubble atop the coffin at the Union buildings, the government offices in South Africa's capital, Pretoria. Mandela family members and world leaders viewed the body Wednesday morning. By the afternoon, long lines had formed to see the casket, but the government said the cutoff point had been reached, urging people instead to arrive early on the following 2 days to get their chance. Zimbabwe President Robert Mugabe, South African President Jacob Zuma, and other leaders passed by the casket in the two lines. 4 junior naval officers in white uniforms kept watch. Celebrities, including singer Bono of the band U2, also paid their respects. So did F.W. de Klerk, the last president of white rule, who shared a Nobel Peace Prize with Mandela for ending the apartheid era. Mandela's widow, Graca Machel, his former wife, Winnie Madikizela Mandela, and other family members also viewed his body. Some appeared lost for a moment, looking down at Mandela. South Sudan's President Salva Kiir Mayardit stood transfixed before removing his trademark black cowboy hat and crossing himself. Police officers were a few steps away, one holding a box of tissues. Some clearly were overcome by the sight. One woman covering her entire face, weeping as she walked away, support by a colleague. Others carried posters bearing Mandela's image. Mandela emerged from 27 years in prison under the white racist government in 1990, appealed for forgiveness and reconciliation, and became president in 1994 after the country's first all-white democratic elections. He gave his inaugural address from the amphitheater, which Zuma named after him by decree Tuesday. On Wednesday morning, motorcycle riding police officials and officers escorted the hearse from a military hospital outside of Pretoria to the Union buildings. People lined the streets to watch the procession, singing old songs from the struggle against the apartheid regime and calling out farewells to Mandela, who died December 5th at the age of 95. Army helicopters had been circling overhead, but then a sudden quiet fell over the amphitheater as the hearse arrived. 8 warrant officers representing the various services and divisions of the South African military carried the casket by the military chaplain in a purple stool. The officers set down the coffin and removed the flag. Mandela's body will lie in state for 3 days at the Union buildings atop a hill overlooking Pretoria. The architect who designed it envisioned its 2 wings made of 500,000 cubic feet of stone, representing the Afrikaans and English languages spoken in the country, but none of the land's native languages. Even from its inception, the majestic buildings have long been considered a symbol of governance in the country and of apartheid until Mandela took office. Each day, Mandela's coffin will be driven back to one military hospital to be held overnight. Authorities have asked to line the streets as an honor guard for each trip. Mandela's body will be flown Saturday to Kuno, his home in the Eastern Cape province. He will be buried Sunday. A massive memorial service attended by nearly 100 world leaders was held for Mandela at the Johannesburg Stadium on Tuesday.
Welcome back. You're still watching a Nile Cruise. This week, Sudan's Water Resources Minister has declared the 3-way talks on the Ethiopia's dam a success. The second set of talks involving Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia solved many problems, according to the minister. The 3 countries were discussing recommendations made by an international technical committee on the dam project. It was the second round of talks. Also this week, pro-Muslim Brotherhood students continue to demonstrate at Al-Azhar University at various locations throughout the male and female campuses in Nasr City. A lot of clashes over there. And for these 2 main topics for this segment, we are joined with Dr. Gamal Qalyoubi. He's the professor of petroleum and energy and engineering at the American University in Cairo, and also a political activist. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Well, welcome, Dr. Gamal. Well, let me just start off, just as Sharif mentioned about, we'll start off with the Ethiopian dam. As Sharif was mentioning, we said that there's a second set of talks involving Egypt and Sudan, and that Ethiopia has solved quite a few problems lately. Can you speak to us a little bit about the problems and where have we reached so far regarding that issue?
First of all, I think the language now for Egyptian politicals toward the dam problems is completely different in proportion to what happened in 2012. In 2012, we have a lots of disadvantages that the way that the high level of the country dealing with the problem is coming to Egypt in a few months, because you know very much that the dam had been started building on March 2011 after the revolutions within 3 months, which it's in a way was not respected to the cooperations and the agreements as per the Nile agreements had been done in 1957. The scenario now with completely different languages, because we have some way now to make negotiations, and this possible negotiation is coming from a way reference to some conflicts or some of threats to them, and we come to one tables and we try to put in between Sudan in front of them. You know very much also the NTP agreement, which it had been published by 6 countries and not completed by the total 10, so it's supposed to be representative by the main resources 2 countries, Sudan and Egypt, and this was not included. So what happened is in the first meetings had been done, which it's not published to the whole people to understand what inside the doors happened, but I think the very outlines show that the Ethiopian side is completely different in proportion to the previous meetings happened before. First of all, we try to go to the normal friendship of a country's negotiation, and we try to say that the three representatives as a technical reps, which is including Sudan, Ethiopia, and Egypt, technical team shall back again to just evaluate the status of the dam body itself, the status also for the first test, which is supposed to be now shall be applied within 6 months from now, because the 30% of the total building dam body had been built, and they need to start to test for the first power generated plant from the dam, and suppose that meet the criteria of producing electricity from the turbine system, which is supposed to be start to install after 6 months. Second thing is that team, the technical teams, which represent mainly Sudan and Egypt, and just a part of the international observers, will be follow how the structure of the concrete building across the two sides of the dam, which is really critical to us. You know very much that it's a basalt rocks, which is not so easy to sustaining the body of the dam, and specifically after you finish the complete building of the dam, they supposed that restrain and restore the water in front of the dam up to 74 billion cubic meters of the water supposed flooded in front of the dam to maintain that the 13 turbines produce electricity of 3,500 megawatts.
So it's critical to have a durable and tough structure when it comes to this amount of water. Definitely.
And this is the main three problems we have. We need to assure that the body itself is meet risk value, which is acceptable internationally related to the old dam buildings. The second, we need to assure that we have the body interacts with the basalt rocks, it can sustain the huge amount of the clay behind the dam, which is very possible to accumulate just only for the first 4 years till we retain the water behind the dam. We talk about 450 billion cubic meter of clay, which is very high stresses behind the body itself, and this is lead to create fractures in the outside lets of the building, interact with the rock basalt, which is fixed the dam in two sides.
Yes.
For that reason, it's very important for the technical team, which is now easy to agree at moment, that everything in the next critical steps captures after 30% had been built, that we need to assure that the Italian company, which is responsible for the building, the concretes, and all assignment of the design, shall meet the criteria of less than 1.5 risk factor, which is accepted for the international dam. You know very much that's our high dam, the Egypt's grand building of the dam, is accepted within 1.5 risk, which is not affected for any future risk flooding across Egypt. In proportional to what the Ethiopian dam happened, if